Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Movie News. I'm joined as always by John, who was flying solo last night. Well done, John. Tuned in?
Yeah, it was terrible, Steve.
No, it was
God awful.
Listen, we're not.
I was discombobulated.
We'll not get into obviously the headline, but it was the headline. You've got to talk about these things. I thought you handled it well. But
Yeah,
listen,
tripping over myself.
Headline tonight is Warner Brothers reportedly believes Henry Cavill's Superman can't lead new movie. Henry Cavill's solo Superman adventures may be over, as Warner Brothers reportedly doesn't believe he can lead another DCEU movie at this time. I've also got a quote here, John, that will knock the stuffing out of any Superman fan. It says a standalone Superman movie, this is from the studio, would not be successful at this time. Perhaps once there's more momentum after playing a supporting role in some successful DC films, there would be more of a chance for a standalone film. What is your thoughts on this, John? Because I know you've got a few.
I think it's an absolute joke, Stephen. It's a disgrace. They had this great character. How long ago is it since Man of Steel now?
2011.
Nine years ago, they had this great character. The iconic, perhaps the most iconic superhero character ever brought into creation. Eclipses the likes of Spiderman and Batman and whatnot for me. He is the most iconic superhero character. They bring on a fantastic actor like Henry Cavill. He works his balls off to get into shape. He's got one of the most impressive physiques I think I've seen put to cinema as well. He just was great in that movie. For me, it was a fantastic movie. I know a lot of people like to shit on top of Man of Steel and say it was god awful, it was too dark. That's not what Superman's like. We want the sort of light-hearted. The subway is still the safest and most efficient form of transport. Obviously Christopher Reeves gave us back in the 1980s and whatnot. They wanted that lighter version, but for me, I enjoyed the darkness with this character. Just where he came from, this origins. What was the name of the guy who came in? What was his Michael Shannon character?
Oh, General Zod.
General Zod, him coming down and wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
I loved the movie. I thought it was a great start to the DCEU. I'd have loved to have seen more of this character. Stephen, for me, I think there's so much potential for not Christopher Reeves, for Henry Cavill to come in and perhaps eclipse Christopher Reeves. If he had been given the opportunity, I think he could have laid his stamp on it. But they dropped the ball. Also, we did have Justice League. For me, he was a standout in Justice League when he came in. Yeah. That moment where he reanimated and wreaked utter chaos. The moment with him in Flash, with Flash is shitting it when he sees that
was
he
one
can
of the
actually
best
spot
moments,
him. One of the standout moments is around about Superman. Dawn of Justice, Batman v Superman, not a great movie, but again, you can't pin it on Henry Cavill. No. I cannot for the life of me fathom why they have not created another Man of Steel movie in the 9 years that have obviously transpired since Man of Steel came out. And now, also they've had issues with the contract. They wanted to shoehorn him into Shazam as a mere cameo at the end of the movie. He's like, nope, that'll be my last picture in the picture deal that we've got. Then I'll renegotiate and we'll have another picture deal or movie deal, film deal, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll do multiple movies with, it's obviously me, Man of Steel 2, whatever you want to call it. And it broke down. It was a fractious relationship. He went away and did The Witcher. He's now established himself on Netflix. Again, great actor. He's established himself as a nice sort of not B, because that's doing him wrong, but a sort of supporting role in an action movie. He did it in Mission Impossible Fallout alongside Tom Cruise. Really acquitted himself well. This man has established himself, that's what I'm saying. He now comes back and they want to fire him into mere cameo roles again. It's an absolute joke. I don't want to see Superman as a foil to Shazam. He's better than Shazam. Yeah. I don't want to see him in a Wonder Woman movie, which is not going to happen anyway. I don't want to see him in a Black Adam movie. If you've got Henry Cavill and you have Superman, you have the rights to him, John, you do a Superman movie. I
would love to know who this person at Warner Brothers actually came away with that quote. Standalone Superman movie would not be successful at this time. Perhaps once there's more momentum. Where was the momentum before Man of Steel? There was no momentum because it was the first film since 1987, and Christopher Reeve played, the son of Jor-El, in The Quest for Peace. So it was long awaited. There was no momentum. There was anticipation. There's anticipation for a second movie. And you've highlighted that well. In 9 years, they've not even bothered to, capitalise on the success of Man of Steel. Now, a lot of people didn't like it. I get that. It's still one of my favourite DC films, DCEUs films, up there with Aquaman and Wonder Woman. I do not believe for a minute that the studio doesn't have the talent to write a good plot, write a good a script. You know, we're going to move into another article that came in from Screen Rant. That was from Screen Rant as well, and it's a quote. It's a quote, John. That this is in relation, obviously, to J.J. Abrams. You know, and his I think it was a $500 million deal that he had with Warner Brothers at the end of last year, wasn't it? Yeah. This is another quote from Warner Brothers. They're full of them tonight. A standalone... Oh, sorry, I'm reading exactly the same one. It's not that one. This one. If your plan is to attract an A-list filmmaker like J.J. Abrams to direct such a property... Now, it's never been confirmed that he's going to do this yet, but it looks like, you know, from what we've gathered and from what the rumours of, you know, over the last few months, I would probably put my money on J.J. Abrams being the next director of a Superman film. Yeah. But it says here, you know, if your plan is to attract an A-list filmmaker like J.J. Abrams to direct such a property like Superman, they're going to demand they cast who they want in the title role. Of course, they are stating the obvious. Yeah. You know, the rain is wet. Stating the obvious here. That doesn't mean that they're not going to, you know. He can pick whoever he wants and whoever, obviously, the studio can afford, you know, in the negotiations. There seems to be politics working in the background here between the actor and the studio. And and it's been going on for a while. It's been on for a few years.
It's still in my closet.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years it's been on for now, you know, and I think you hit the nail on the head with his appearances. That little cameo that he was supposed to you know, appear at the end of Shazam was obviously the studio trying to be clever in the usage of his appearances, you know, and obviously the contract. You know, it'll boil down to the wording of the contracts and stuff like that, you know. But I cannot see for the life of me J.J. Abrams not using Henry Cavill. Unless studio pressure tells him you're not using, you know, Henry Cavill. We've seen studio pressure with J.J. Abrams at Lucasfilm for The Rise of Skywalker, where we're all talking about a J.J. Abrams cut now, which is ridiculous because I don't even want to see any kind of regurgitated version of that film.
No, we're done with that sequel, tells you. It was a disaster.
But we do want to see a Man of Steel 2, and we do want to see Henry Cavill as a Man of Steel.
Stephen, who out there just now would be a better Superman than Henry Cavill? A man who's still relatively youthful, he's got a great physique, he's only going up in his aura in the world of Hollywood. The man is on an upward trajectory. Yeah. This guy's still got 5, 6, 7 years of playing this character, maybe even a decade of playing this character. For the life of me, can't think of a better actor. I'm sure there is ones out there, but I'm just that fixated on wanting more Henry Cavill Superman. As I says, for me, he has the potential, in my opinion at least, to be better than Christopher Reeves. I can't think of a better man. I can't for the life of me fathom J.J. Abrams coming in, potentially getting his hands on a Superman. I'm thinking about Spider-Man again.
There's an idea.
Superman, yeah. Superman movie, not want to use
into
Henry
the Superverse.
Cavill. Yes, Superman into the Superverse. Yes, that'd be very, very strange indeed. What they could conjure up with that. But Stephen, I think in my heart of hearts that perhaps Warner Brothers, in some warped, strange way, think that Henry Cavill is to blame for the ills of Justice League. It's not the fact that Joss Whedon came in and created a bastardised Frankenstein's monster version of the movie.
I still don't blame him either.
I think it's because of the CG, and it was Paramount who had the rights to Mission Impossible and who weren't allowing them to take the moustache off. I think they, in some sick way, blame Henry Cavill for that, and they're trying to punish him by forcing him into shit. I mean, I love Shazam, it was great. Zachary Levi was brilliant. But come on, Superman's better than a 20-second cameo at the end of the movie just to wow little school kids in a canteen. He's better than that. That's why Henry Cavill's like, no, that'll be part of my deal, and then I'll renegotiate another deal if you want to use me for bigger and better movies. The one final thing I will say, that quote, I don't think it will be successful at this time, this bullshit about momentum. If a studio like Warner Brothers and DC cannot market a Superman movie, then there is something seriously, seriously wrong. He is, as I did say, one of the all-time great comic book characters. You cannot market a Superman movie with Henry Cavill in the lead, then you should be fired because you're incompetent. He's a great character, he's a great actor. They can make it work. They can get talented screenwriters in, they can get a talented director in, get the cast around about. Perhaps who was was it Amy Adams played his what's she called?
Lewis Lane,
Lewis Lane, is that the name? If you can bring her back, and I'm sure she'd be interested. I'm sure she was speaking not long ago about how she'd love to come back, but she doesn't see it happening. They're going off in a different direction. If you can get all the parts together, and a studio like Warner Brothers certainly can, you can market a Superman movie and make it a success. You don't need momentum. It's a lot of shit. Get it done, man. I'm bored with it now.
I'll tell you something, though, John. These
Do.
quotes coming out from obviously the studio are damning, though. You know, it's looking more less likely that Henry Cavill is going to appear in a Man of Steel.
I agree with you, Sam McGowan. Yeah, it's my Superman too.
Yeah, if they're going to, you know, if they're going to, you know, do a Man of Steel 2, I think it's beyond repair now. You know, I think. I don't want to see Henry Cavill be like Bruce Banner of this studio. I don't want to see that. You know, I hated what they did with the Hulk in the films. Some people say, obviously, with the Universal thing, you know, they've got their hands tied. Well, what about Spider-Man? They've handled his character better. They've gave him 2 films already. Obviously, you know, the deal was a different deal, you know, with obviously Sony. But
because Universal wouldn't allow a sort of solo standalone Hulk movie, whereas Sony, I don't really care.
Well, you think, you know,
Sony are creating them.
You think that, exactly, they're creating them, John. That is their studio that's creating them, and they're distributed by them. But you think that Universal would look at that and go, we want a slice of the pie, you know, we want a piece of the action. But listen, it is what it is. We're going to move on anyway. Talking about Spider-Man, it's MCU's Spider-Man 3. Marisa Tomei teases what to expect of Aunt May.
Speaking about misuse of characters and actors,
I know.
Oscar-winning actress.
Yep,
actor.
I totally agree, John. Tomei had this to say. She said she couldn't reveal much, but she was able to share her hopes for Aunt May's arc. This is what she said. Well, I've had her, director John Watts, and I always talked about her being a community organiser, she said, and hopefully that track will expand and be part of this one as well.
Seen it?
Yeah.
Seen it obviously with was it Far From Home?
Yeah.
At the start when she's on the stage, she's promoting Spider-Man as a sort of brand.
And how good was the chemistry between her and Favreau as well?
It was very good, Steve. Look, I was kind of tongue-in-cheek saying that she's been reduced, this character and actor, to a mere love interest for Jon Favreau. But look, they shared some great moments. That back and forth with Tom Holland's Peter Parker in between, looking back. It was great. I'd love to see that develop more. And this is why, I know we've only got a additional 2-movie deal with Sony and Marvel at the moment, Disney at the moment I should say. 1 additional Spider-Man standalone movie, then perhaps a side movie, a side role in a more ensemble-like movie for Spider-Man. I hope they can get that deal done and extend this guy's stay in the MCU so that we can see these characters being fleshed out. I genuinely believe they have visions of Peter Parker being the predator, the successor to Tony Stark in this universe. Because obviously with the handing over of the glasses and whatnot, they see this young character perhaps being the linchpin moving forward into Phase 4. A sort of humanistic, earthbound linchpin, because they are going more cosmic in the scale. They're going in Eternals.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a whole lot of nonsense. I'm sure we'll see some really powerful antagonists overarching throughout this next phase, this next saga. But I would love to see it develop more. And look, I want to see more of Marisa Tomei. She's a fantastic actress. She's proven it over the years, as I did say. Oscar winning for her role in My Cousin Vinny. Really, really great foil alongside Joe Pesci in that movie. I thoroughly enjoyed what she has brought to the movie, but I do feel, movies, because we have to, but I feel the character has been underutilised. Yeah. And look, perhaps I'm being harsh, because the first movie was an origin story for Peter Parker. It was almost like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
She also had the cameo in Civil War as well, as I recall. Yeah. But you're right, John.
It's hard to utilise that.
Far From Home was obviously a school trip. So it'd be a bit creepy if she was turning up, with the kids. But yeah, I mean, when she was cast in the role, Marisa Tomei, I thought, wow, they're going to be doing something big with, UFO as well. You've got to remember that.
I seem to recall Spider-Man 2 and 1. It was a very old one.
It was, I don't know the actress's name who played her in the previous versions. I think Sally Field actually played her in the Amazing Spider-Man. But again, it wasn't about Aunt May or anything like that. But the indications were there in Civil War, the interactions between Tony Stark. Now, Tony Stark's away now, so we're not going to get that kind of chemistry between them. Jon Favreau's character steps in. I can't remember his name.
Happy Hogan.
Happy, that's it. Yeah. And he had those interactions in Far From Home, which were very funny, comedic, and very awkward for, obviously, Peter, sort of in the middle of the moment. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this. I'm glad to see, Marisa Tomei's coming out and speaking about it, that she's having interactions, she's having discussions with John Watts and where to take this character. I hope she has got a bigger part to play, something that's not going to bog down the pacing of a film, because Spider-Man films have to be
Spider-Man.
Yeah, they have to be obviously in Peter Parker, but I think she deserves a larger role. I do understand the studios, and the story didn't suit obviously having her in it much in the first two films, but it is what it is.
Here's a question for you, Stephen, before we move on. Do you think that they will utilise, perhaps with Sony's blessing, the chance to introduce maybe Gwen Stacy in this movie? We have Zendaya. Perhaps introduce her not as a sort of romantic thing, but just as a character.
Could be
and then maybe
a love rival.
Or perhaps with the pretense of maybe creating a standalone movie for Spider-Gwen at some point. If they lose perhaps Peter Parker Spider-Man, maybe Sony will allow them to keep the rights to Spider-Gwen and we'll get a female Spider.
If Sony are clever, John, they will introduce Gwen Stacy, because that's a perfect way to open the door for her. Whoever going to play her has got a perfect opportunity there. If there's a live action Spider-Gwen, then that's the way to do it,
Did you see, Stephen, as well, the PS5 game release happened, and they have the exclusive rights to Spider-Man, the game.
Sony,
introducing Miles Morales as a lead character in the second game. That's just, again, a great step forward for the diversification of that character. Just Miles Morales. I want to see more of Miles.
I'd love he's a cool guy.
A live action Miles Morales movie.
He's something different to Peter Parker. That's what I love. They've not done a different. They have done a different version of Peter Parker, but what I mean is the characteristics of Peter Parker are nowhere to be seen in Miles Morales. No. He's a totally different guy. He's streetwise, he's a bit more confident, although he's a bit uneasy, obviously, with his powers, in the very beginning. But at the end of that film, John, Into the Spider-Verse, he was handling himself quite well. But listen, we'll move on to the next topic. It's all about the Green Lantern Corps.
I have not changed the topics at any point. I'm becoming completely engulfed.
That's okay. Listen, we're live, so don't worry about it. Green Lantern Corps, every latest news about releasing, cast, plot, and what do we know about this movie? Now, we don't really know too much about it because no one's been cast, but the rumours out there, John, is that unlike the first film in 2011, the movie's title suggests that there will be a team rather than one Hal Jordan. The intergalactic force protecting the Earth will constitute of various individuals that work together against the typical villain threatening life on Earth. Not Earth. I'm from Bristol. John, I did 2 reviews for the animated stuff, the DC animated stuff a couple of years ago. First I did First Flight, which was an origin story of Hal Jordan, which was better than obviously the Ryan Reynolds one. This was out 2 years before that. They should have used this to storyboard that film. They really should have. I think it was
Stephen. They shouldn't have created that.
Director.
They shouldn't have created that Ryan Reynolds.
Lauren Montgomery was the director, John, of that animated film, and it was an interesting film to really. If you don't really know too much about, the Green Lantern, it's a good film to sort of introduce you to. But I did a second one called Emerald Knights, which was more about the collective team of Green Lantern Corps, which came out the same year as actually the film, the live action film in 2011. This animated film I preferred because it's something that I don't think DC have got enough of, that I've seen anyway. Maybe there is. I'm not an expert in comic books. You said it last night, John. I'm the same. From what I've seen, DC don't have a lot of collective heroes. So I think this would be the best road to go down. Introduce us to the actual corps, the organisation, what they're all about, what they stand for, who they're up against. I don't really need to see an origin story again of Hal Jordan. But
no one will rightly want to touch it after that shit show.
And I don't think Ryan Reynolds wants to remember it. So
maybe he'll pop up in a cameo. He's the type of guy that would probably do it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
He's the type of guy that would
I know you've not seen you've seen the live action film back in 2011. But I know you've not seen obviously the animated stuff, John. But my opinion is I would like to see this happen.
Stephen, absolutely. And look, having not seen the animated versions and not perhaps being completely aware of all of the various different members within this ensemble piece, I did search up a nice little article, and they've kindly been suggesting, this is from a couple of years ago now, so it may have not aged quite so well, but they have been suggesting some potential casting for different members. I know about Hal Jordan, of course. he's the main man, of course. He is the Green Lantern. There is many Green Lanterns, but he's the main man. They suggest James Marsden. Now, I did say it hasn't aged too well. He's getting a bit old now for me.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see perhaps a different casting choice for that. But they go through and it's enlightening. Jon Stewart, they suggested Sterling K. Brown. Most recently, though, Junish, Michael J. White was showing a real interest in perhaps portraying that character. He's a great actor, Stephen. I think pretty damn sure he was in The Dark Knight. He was the man you should know it. You paid for it. And obviously, the Joker was
Enough
speaking
from
to.
the clown.
Enough from the clown.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's very enthusiastic, bubbling personality of a guy. Not at all what you'd see in a movie.
No.
I'd love to see him portray that character. That would be my choice. Incidentally, that character looks very, very cool. Apparently a Supreme Sniper. He looks really good. We've got Eric Johnson. I don't know if you know who that is. They're suggesting Guy Gardner. There's a whole array, man. I mean, Rami Malek. Could Warner Brothers and DC, kind of a slid my words there, could Warner Brothers and DC attract an Oscar-winning actor of the calibre of Rami Malek to play Kyle Rayner in this movie? Because looking at the comic strips, he's an absolute perfect match for it. Alison Brie is Carol Ferris. The list is endless. Rose McIver. They're suggesting Riz Ahmed is Simon Baz. Riz Ahmed, another guy. Wasn't aware who this guy was, Stephen, until Rogue One. Really enjoyed his performance as Bodhi in that.
He's one of the standouts,
And then in Venom, he played the antagonist, the sort of arse-wipe sort of CEO of the company.
To put it nicely,
CEO he was an arse-wipe. Most people won't understand that anyway if they're watching this. And not understand me, period, if they're watching in the United States. But yeah, I mean, he'd be a really good foil for the rest of these actors. I'd love to see this happen. I'd love to see an ensemble piece. It'd be something different. I do recall slagging off Warner Brother and DC about jumping right in and doing a Justice League movie before they'd earned the right to do it. Obviously, they were trying to follow the MCU and what Marvel had been doing, setting up characters for 5-6 years. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, doing them all individually. Then they brought together the gang in an ensemble piece. They wanted to rush it. They done Man of Steel. They done Dawn of Justice. Then they done Wonder Woman was after. Was it before? It was before. I said this before. There was a photograph at the end. They kind of rushed it, but I'm taking it back now. I want the demons of that previous Green Lantern movie completely blitzed from my brain, bleached. And if they can do it with a great ensemble piece, if they can get the casting right, why can't they do what Disney are doing with Eternals? Get in a stellar cast, get the right people in who know the source material, who are really good writers, get the right director in. It could work. It really could work.
John, there's huge potential there. But listen, we'll move on to our next article. We're moving away from the superhero stuff for a little moment. Well, for the rest of the show, actually. Just read the next article. But this is all about Bruce Willis, and he has agreed a 3-picture deal with Emmett Furler Films, the production company he has previously made 17 movies with.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
Most actors probably don't even make 17 movies.
I bet they're all on Netflix as well. But listen, John, the 65-year-old actor...
He's very old now. Wow.
He is. Just started shooting. He can get his bus pass now. Just started shooting his 17th movie for the company, Midnight in the Switchgrass, which marked Randall's directorial debut with Megan Fox, Emil Hirsch and Coulson Machine Gun Kelly Baker in March, before production was closed down after 5 days due to the coronavirus 5 days pandemic. So we'll complete work on that before moving on to the new films. The first one, obviously, after Midnight in the Switchgrass is completed, John, is Out of Death, is the first new film in the deal, which will also star Jamie King.
Technically impossible. You can't get out of death. Once you're dead, you're dead.
The movie,
unless you're Frankenstein, he's a monster. He's alive!
It could be.
Alive!
Or dead. The movie will see the actress play a woman who witnesses 4 strangers committing a crime while out on a hike, and after racing through the woods enlists the help of a retired forest ranger played by Bruce Willis called Bill Lawrence. Bill Lawrence is writing the script for the thriller, which will be directed by Mike Burns.
Sounds good.
And produced by Randall and George alongside Lydia Hull. Now, the second movie will be Run of the Hitman, which has been written by Stephen Cyrus Sefer and Billy J, and may also be directed by Mike Mike Burns that is. The film sees a race against time for an engineered mercenary to
We're on
stop
first name terms now.
to stop Bruce to stop a corrupt government officially seizing control
Right,
of
Mike.
the mercenary organisation for his purpose. And it wraps up the deal, John, is completed by a film they're naming Killingfield, which is based on an original script by Ross Peacock and sees a woman's quiet farm life disrupted by the arrival of a cop and a pair of dangerous criminals. That movie will be sold.
It's like Rambo Last Blood.
I think it sounds a bit like a Tarantino film as well.
Yeah.
That movie will be sold during the virtual Cannes film market. Randall said, I couldn't be more excited to continue my relationship with Bruce for another 3 pictures and beyond. What's your thoughts on this, John? Because for me, I like Bruce Willis. I do. You know, I think he's had more hits than misses.
Yeah.
But he's very much like a Nicolas Cage at this stage in his career, where he's just ratting out film after film. Some of them, you know, obviously hit the ground running. Some of them just sort of disappear into oblivion. But overall, you know, the guy, he's 65 now. He's still doing action films. He's still doing drama as well within the action films. But what's your thoughts on this new deal, John?
Stephen, I find it very interesting. Obviously, as you did say, this is a man who's very much gone off into a new phase of his career. He's 65 years of age.
Yeah.
There's not many 65-year-old men out there who look as good as that guy, who have the physique. He's almost like Sly Stallone. There's something about...
Without the hair?
Without the hair, of course, yes. Sly still has his hair. Is it real, though? Because the face certainly isn't. It's been changed about 20 times. But there's something about that generation. Even Schwarzenegger, they're in great shape. They're like the sort of action... I don't want to down him as a mere action hero, because I know he did the likes of The Sixth Sense, and he can do that. But he's of that generation, and they just seem to be youthful, eternal. They go on forever and ever and ever. You don't imagine these people getting old or dying. Hopefully he doesn't die. He's going to die. Hopefully he never dies. Jesus Christ. He's not Keanu Reeves.
Or James Bond.
Yes. James Bond might die in No Time to Die. That was
He's
a
got
bone.
No Time to Die.
That was a bone of contention with Daniel Craig. And look, he won out with Danny Boyle, so perhaps he will die in No Time to Die. James Bond dies. And then he can do a sort of strange Doctor Who TARDIS regeneration thing. I don't know, but Stephen, you just don't picture this guy ever changing. And look, it's nice to see, as you did say, you likened him to a sort of Nicolas Cage-like, because no one can ever be Nick Cage. Nick Cage is just ungodly. This man's workaholic attitude is just unparalleled. I've read an article just a couple of days ago that says he is the most prolific, most productive actor in Hollywood. Bruce Willis is kind of a continuing on in that vein as well. He's done 17 movies for this production company, another 3. He says there's one currently in production. That's 21 movies. And the actual the premise, if I can speak, and the plot synopsis, the little brief glimpses we're getting, is individualistic, and I can never say that word, individualistic stories. They are intriguing, they are interesting, and it's something that I would probably be interested in watching. But when you start breaking it down, who are they getting on board to go alongside Bruce Willis? What is his mindset going into these movies? Is he phoning it in? Is he giving a stellar performance? That will in the end probably determine whether these movies are watchable or whether they will be consigned to the never to be watched section of Netflix, along with about 20,000 other movies. I don't know where they will fall on that sort of chart. Good, bad, average, indifferent, whelmed, underwhelmed, overwhelmed, I don't know. Time will tell. But look, I've got faith in Bruce to do a decent performance and not to get on his bus pass just yet and continue on making reasonably good movies.
Oh, it's Speed 3, John. But
listen,
we'll move on to our final article of
Speed
this
3.
evening. It is it's actually coming in from Variety, and it broke only a few hours ago, so it was worth mentioning. It's Viggo Mortensen, both big fans of him. Director Peter Farley, both big fans of him.
Absolutely.
Re-team on new Skydance film. Now, obviously, the last time these two chaps worked, I think it might have been Green Book from a couple of years ago. But this was from Variety. I'm just going to read this straight off the bat, John, because I'm being lazy, if I'm being honest. It's Viggo Mortensen and his Green Book director, Peter Farley, are looking to re-team on a new film. Mortensen is in negotiations to join Farley's new untitled movie based on the book The Greatest Beer Run Ever, a true story of friendship stronger than war. According to sources, Mortensen would have a supporting role. The book, written by Joanna Malloy and John Chicky Donahue, is based on the true story of Donahue, who left New York in 1960 1967 to track down and share a few beers with his childhood buddies in the army while they were fighting in Vietnam. What's your thoughts?
What a concept that is, Stephen. You speak about interesting concepts. They are aligning it with great talent. They are aligning it with one of the great directors. I'm very, very intrigued by this. I love Vigo.
Yeah.
I just love what this guy's brought to cinema over. I've been aware of him for the last 20 years since Lord of the Rings. Obviously, now as I've grown up and become even more infused by film, I've went back and checked some of his other movies. I think it was Captain Fantastic most recently, maybe 2016, 17.
Yeah.
He was absolutely stunning in it. He got nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Beautiful, alongside George Mackay, I want to say as well, who's now rose to prominence as well with the likes of 1917. Anything this guy's in, I'll usually be interested in watching it just out of purely, I don't know, perhaps loyalty to Vigo in a sense. But then you throw in Peter Farley and what they did together in Green Book. A lot of people like to shit on Green Book now as if it's cool to shit on this movie, as if it wasn't a great movie. I thought it was a beautiful movie about a man's friendship and two different worlds colliding and them teaching each other things about their own cultures, strangely. Because obviously, Viggo Mortensen's character, whose name completely eludes me, I still remember Dr. Dun Shirley, who was played by Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
But he was teaching him things about black culture and the black side of things, because he was obviously trying to appease white people all the time. Being this musician, he couldn't get a chance. He was going around these racist sort of circuits playing music. He kind of fell out of touch.
Tony Lip.
Yeah. So those two guys were teaching each other things. I just thought it was a beautifully crafted story. It was a real story about two different people from two different ethnicities, sides of life, come together, showing that you can be friends. If ever a movie is needed, it's now, Stephen. With all the nonsense that's going on, it shows you that all of that shit doesn't matter. When you see that you have more in common, then you can come together, you can create great friendships that last forever.
Also, mentioning...
And if he can recapture that, then I'm on board, man, with this, because it's
and obviously,
amazing.
John, more importantly, if Peter Farley can as well, you know. It's very interesting, you know. Obviously, they must have a great relationship. They certainly, you know, knocked it out of the park with Green Book. But when you look at Peter Farley, I know he's more connected working with, I think it's, I can't remember his brother's name now, but it's the Farley brothers. You know, that's what they're famous for, you know. Those road trip movies, John. The likes of Dumb and Dumber and Kingpin, etc., you know. Bobby, yeah, that's it. There's something about... there's something about Mary, you know, but there's something about him doing, you know, going out on his own, and it's a different sort of tone of film he does. You know, the humour's in there, but it's not like the silly sort of Dumb and Dumber slapstick humour. It's very much under the radar humour that you're either going to get or you're not. You know, if they can get that sort of magic happening again on this project now, Viggo Mortensen is obviously just playing a supporting role in this. He's not playing the lead role. It's going to be very interesting to see who they cast in that role as well. So I'm on board for it anyway. That
will probably be the key, Stephen, as well, who they can get on board. I'm pretty sure when you've attracted Viggo Mortensen in there that the script is there.
Yeah.
Because he is a man who's very picky. We've seen that with the Josh Gad reunion of the Lord of the Rings cast.
Absolutely, yeah.
He was the last guy in the door as Aragorn, son of Arathorn, the main man, perhaps.
Strider,
yes. He was the last guy in. He wanted to break down the script and make sure that he was going to do it justice. So this is a man who's very meticulous in picking his scripts. If he's on board again, this script is there. The concept is there. There could be room for humour as well. The greatest beer run ever. Vietnam War, all this chaos, blood, guts, explosion, napalm, everything. And he's going off to have a little drinking session with his friends. I cannot wait to see how this develops, Stephen, because I'm very excited for it. I'm on board, man. But I'm on board anyway, but as I did say when it's Viggo Mortensen, because I've just got great affinity for that guy after he played the great Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings. Big Tolkien man that I am. But Stephen, look, I'm done, man, unless you've got anything else to add.
Finished, yeah.
I've just switched on about 30 million different graphics. You know what, screw it, we'll go to the other dual screen. There you go, an absolute shambles at the end. Technically I was doing so well, apart from that second topic which I didn't flash a graphic up for. But guys, what is your thoughts on the topics we spoke about? What's your thoughts on the headline that Warner Brothers and DC could perhaps have lost faith in Henry Cavill's leading man credentials? What is your thoughts on a potential sizable increase in a role for Marisa Tomei's Aunt May in the Spiderman 3 movie soon to be coming? What do you think about a Green Lantern Corps ensemble movie? What's your thoughts on Bruce Willis getting a free picture deal with this production company? And finally, what do you make about Viggo Mortensen teaming up once again with Peter Farrelly in the greatest beer run ever? If you've got anything to say about any of that was a mouthful. You can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed us gibbering away nonsensically for the last half an hour. I'll have a breath now. And if you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see it, and if you do, then you will see us again tomorrow for our review of Groundhog Day, another classic movie featuring the wondrous talents of one Bill Murray. See you then.